I counted the input. It has 8 paragraphs. I will output exactly 8 paragraphs. No more, no less. Each input paragraph, one output paragraph.
Tell me what that fight was like for you. Your jab was working, your patience was key, you were fast, you were able to stuff so many of those takedowns. Overall, what lent itself to the most success in your opinion?
The entire length of the fight, I was cold-blooded, cold-headed, and warm-hearted.
I love that approach to it. In terms of your weapons, what felt best in there? What felt most effective?
You know, everything worked. The jab worked, the takedown worked, didn't let him take me down. I mean, everything kind of worked out. The preparation really worked.
What were your thoughts as you got into the championship rounds against a guy who is known to never really tire?
You know, the last thoughts I had in those last rounds was me hearing my cornerman saying, you have to leave your entire self in these rounds, because I knew that if I wasn't going to do it right now, I was going to be blaming myself for not working all the way.
So, Islam Makhachev, the newly crowned welterweight champion, really showed his sportsmanship online after Petr Yan's shocking win over Merab Dvalishvili. What grabbed everyone's attention was how Islam sent out this incredibly heartfelt message, praising Merab even though the bantamweight star had just faced a crushing defeat. Islam, sitting at the top of the sport, made it clear he has immense respect for the Georgian fighter, calling him one of the most formidable forces out there, and someone who belongs in the same pound-for-pound conversation as himself. But he didn't forget Petr Yan either. Islam also gave a proud salute to Yan, acknowledging the monumental significance of his victory. This win brought Yan back to the top of the bantamweight division after years of setbacks, including that controversial disqualification that ended his first title reign. Islam's reaction made it obvious he felt Yan's arduous journey back to the belt was truly earned through sheer will and determination. Given their deep regional roots, Islam seemed genuinely happy to see a fellow countryman rise again, which was an incredibly classy move.
The main event, Petr Yan, a masterclass there. Can you just talk about his performance, especially given how one-sided that fight was the first 2 times that those guys competed?
Yeah, it's incredible. You know, we were looking for a fight, and we were in Jersey, and Merab was the main event of that fight, and we ended up signing him. And Matt Serra literally told me that night, this guy is going to be your world champion, and he's a special fighter, I'm telling you. And Matt Serra was absolutely right. One of the toughest fighters that I've ever come across. And let's just say, Merab and I didn't get off on the right foot early on. I have nothing but respect for him and everything that he's accomplished. And yeah, and for Petr to come in and do what he did tonight, and I mean the body shots and the head shots and the wrestling. I mean, it was an incredibly high level fight. That was, you know, what a hell of a way to end the ESPN era.
It really was. Do you think? I mean, there is a case for a trilogy, right? I mean, I'm sure Merab's going to need some time off after that, but I mean, are you thinking about trilogy right now between these two, or do you feel like Petr Yan did enough tonight to move on to other challenges?
You know the answer to this question. I'm not thinking about anything tonight other than, you know, that tonight was a great night of fights, and yeah, I don't know.
Now, while everyone was still talking about Islam's thoughtful post-fight reflections, the spotlight inevitably shifted to Dana White's reaction to Petr Yan's impressive performance. Dana was clearly very impressed by how clean, sharp, and dominant Yan looked in the octagon that night, seeming to be on another level. The UFC CEO unequivocally stated that Yan earned the win fair and square, with no room for debate. Interestingly, rather than solely blaming Merab's performance, Dana brought up how exhausting Merab's recent fight schedule had been. He suggested that pushing through a brutal, unforgiving gauntlet of tough matchups might have slowed him down when it mattered most in the title fight. Still, Dana, in his typical fashion, refused to dismiss Merab's effort or his heart. He publicly admired Merab's grit and his unwavering willingness to fight anyone, anytime, a rare quality in the sport. To Dana, Merab's toughness and ability to absorb punishment while still moving forward remained defining aspects of his identity as a fighter. Dana emphasized that nights like UFC 33 are inherently unpredictable, proving that anything can happen in a high-stakes title fight under immense pressure.
Is there, and his demeanor initially seemed to be one of someone who was upset, annoyed. And then he said the line that has been dissected.
You know, Tom didn't want to continue in the fight. So
When you heard his comments, how did you react?
Slightly disappointing because he was already giving updates on my health and he had no idea what had gone on. So disappointing, mate. Disappointing.
If he would have come up and said, poked in the eye, illegal, couldn't see, couldn't continue, serious injury, etc., people would have laid off. They would have taken cues from him.
It definitely didn't help the cause.
Have you spoken to him since?
No.
Is that disappointing?
I've spoken to the UFC since, but I've not spoken to. Me and Dana don't really speak like that anyway. So
You're the heavyweight champion of the world. You're a huge star. You've taken fights on short notice. You've been backup fighter. You stayed on the sidelines for etc. It surprises me that you have no kind of relationship with him.
I don't really know what to say. That's the way it is.
Has he sent you a text or DM in the aftermath?
No, nothing like that. Nothing like that. He actually he started giving updates that there was nothing wrong with my eye when that isn't the case. So
Right.
no, I've done a lot for the UFC. So yeah, disappointing.
But Dana's night wasn't without its own drama or unexpected issues. After addressing questions about Yan and Merab, he found himself drawn into a separate, intriguing situation involving the reigning heavyweight champion, Tom Aspinall. It turned out Tom wasn't thrilled with something Dana had previously said, and he made sure to voice his concerns directly to his audience via a candid video on his YouTube channel, which certainly stirred things up. Tom felt that comments Dana made about his eye injury didn't sit well with him, causing a bit of a stir. So when reporters naturally asked Dana about this escalating situation after UFC 303, he seemed genuinely a bit confused, almost perplexed about what Tom was so upset about. Dana, visibly trying to recall, explained he didn't remember every single detail of what he'd said, which is understandable given the sheer volume of interviews he does. However, he did recall mentioning that he believed Tom's eyesight would ultimately be okay, suggesting he wasn't trying to cause harm or disrespect.
Tom Aspinall did interviews recently saying that his eye is not better. He was a little bit disappointed with some comments you made. Have you spoke to Tom? Do you know anything about that? And what's your reaction to what he said?
I have not. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I don't remember exactly what I said. What did I say? That is,
just said you think that
I think his eyes are okay. Yeah.
Since no more pay-per-view, David with MMA in Myanmar.
Hold on, sir. I'm still talking to this guy.
Sorry, my bad.
Here's the thing. So obviously, and I know Tom said, I haven't even talked to him and all that stuff, but we have people all over him right now, checking up on him, making sure he's good. Does he need any help or, any specialists? Yeah, I'm no doctor. I'm just saying what I've heard. And that was in no way, it wasn't said in a way that they're like, oh, what do you think? I said, I think he's fine. Or it wasn't like that. I said, I think Tom's eyes are good. He's going to take some time, heal, come back to, that's all I said. I wasn't saying anything negative toward him. And I think that things can be taken out of context, or he didn't see what I said, because I don't even remember what the fuck I said. But never once did I say anything negative about him or, in a derogatory way. I'm sure he's upset and fired up, and, he'll get better, and we'll get him.
Dana really tried to clear the air, emphasizing that his comments were absolutely not meant to downplay Tom's serious condition or suggest he wasn't actually hurt. He insisted emphatically that he never intended anything negative or dismissive towards the heavyweight champ. Instead, he explained he was simply sharing the information he had at the time, based on his understanding, and he stressed this point. He highlighted that the UFC had people constantly checking in on Tom, meticulously monitoring his health and ensuring he had everything he needed for his recovery. Dana also made sure to point out that he wasn't speaking as a medical professional himself, but merely repeating what he had been told by others closely following Tom's recovery. According to Dana, the misunderstanding likely occurred because Tom didn't see the full context of his comment, implying a snippet might have been taken out of proportion. Dana stood firm, stating he never meant to make Tom feel dismissed or unsupported, which is a crucial distinction.
He had an opportunity, and you guys know how that played out, and he's gonna have to work his way back. I don't give a shit what the number says. He's gonna have to work his way back. There's just too much goes into this for those type of things to happen. We had a little we were talking back in my room tonight, and we were talking about all the crazy shit that's happened over the last 20-something years. But you can't do that. You can't get the opportunity and then It can't end that way. So he's got to work his way back.
Once that particular situation with Tom Aspinall settled down, reporters, as usual, shifted their focus to another incredibly hot topic: UFC matchmaking, a subject that consistently ignites passionate debates among fans. Fans had been vocally expressing their frustration online about certain recent fight bookings and were curious about Dana's thought process, especially after UFC. One of the main controversies that baffled many was the surprising matchup between Paddy Pimblett and Justin Gaethje, which many felt didn't make sense given their ranking differences and experience levels, leading to much head-scratching. Another significant complaint centered around the immediate rematch between Alexander Volkanovski and Ilia Topuria, controversially scheduled for UFC. People were genuinely confused as to why that rematch was happening so soon after their previous encounter and desperately wanted Dana to explain the rationale. But Dana, being Dana, didn't dive into elaborate strategic steckling. He kept things incredibly blunt and straightforward, almost dismissively so. He simply said the matchups unfolded as they did because of crucial decisions made in the war room, where UFC executives and matchmakers debate and finalize every fight card. Even though fans weren't exactly thrilled with these decisions, Dana didn't seem particularly bothered by the criticism, making it clear these decisions aren't random and there's always a deliberate plan behind them, even if the outside world doesn't always see or understand it. Then the conversation took an even sharper turn when a reporter boldly brought up Arman Tsarukyan, calling him the odd man out in the stacked lightweight division. Many fans and pundits genuinely believed Arman deserved to be back in title contention, especially given his recent dominant performances. But Dana White, oh boy, had a very different view. He clarified that Arman wasn't being overlooked. Rather, he had previously been offered a massive career-defining opportunity, a title shot against Islam Makhachev at UFC 300. But Arman had to pull out last minute. Dana felt that kind of withdrawal couldn't be overlooked without consequences. Dana was crystal clear: immense work, meticulous planning, and significant investment go into preparing championship fights, and allowing last-minute changes without repercussions would disrupt months of preparation for everyone. He didn't blame Arman personally, but he unequivocally stated that such situations cause immense chaos and disrupt painstaking preparation for literally everyone involved. Because of that, Dana firmly believes Arman now has to fight his way back into the title conversation, rather than just jumping straight into another title shot. According to Dana, rankings alone, while important, don't automatically guarantee another chance. Reliability and dependability matter just as much, if not more. Dana's stance was firm. Arman would eventually get his opportunity again, but only after proving himself once more inside the unforgiving cage.
Do you have a medical update yet on Pantoja? Do we know what his status is?
Yeah, they popped his shoulder back in. I thought it was the elbow.
I did too.
No, it was not the elbow.
Shoulder?
It was his shoulder. And they popped it back in backstage. Now they got to do, MRIs and check out the ligaments and see how it is. So we don't have a time frame on how long he'll be out.
As the press conference continued, another incredibly important and slightly concerning update emerged. This time, related to the flyweight champion Brandon Moreno. During the UFC 303 post-show, Megan O'Leary shared crucial medical details about Moreno's condition after he left the octagon in visible pain, an image that worried many fans. Many, including myself, initially assumed he suffered an elbow injury, as that's where the discomfort seemed localized and where he was clutching. But here's the surprising part. Megan dramatically revealed that the UFC's chief medical officer, Jeff Davidson, had personally informed her that it was actually a left shoulder dislocation, and not just any dislocation. It was one that had popped back into place entirely on its own, right there in the octagon. Now, for those unfamiliar, this means his shoulder literally slipped out of its socket, and then, without any external help, returned to its normal position, which often causes serious, searing pain and can lead to lingering weakness. It's the kind of injury that makes you wince just hearing about it.
Former flyweight champion Alexandre Pantoja just dropped a video after a devastating first-round hand injury following his loss to Joshua Van at UFC 323.
When I see Joshua Van out the other side of the octagon, I believe I can finish him in the first round. That's what I try to do. Best camp of my life, best catch weight, best everything, I feel so comfortable in the octagon. That's my octagon, that's my belt. That's everything I did in my life, in my whole life to that moment, you know. And it's not just about myself today, it's about Joshua Van, you know. Joshua Van, that's his destiny to win this belt tonight. I'm gonna work very hard. I work very hard all my life, and I'm gonna work again, and I'm gonna take my belt again, you know.
Despite what must have been an incredibly rough and painful night for Brandon Moreno, he was thankfully able to walk out with his family, albeit wearing a sling, which was a reassuring sight for many. According to the update provided, he was resting comfortably and, crucially, not in any immediate danger, which was the biggest relief. However, the exact recovery time and the full extent of the damage would ultimately depend on what upcoming scans would reveal, adding an element of uncertainty. This led to a classic broadcasting moment, sparking a moment of genuine confusion when Joe Rogan, on the broadcast, questioned whether Megan had actually meant the shoulder or the elbow, trying to get artist clarity, but Megan, being the true professional she is, stood firmly by the information she had been given, patiently explaining that she wasn't guessing or speculating in the slightest. She was simply relaying the exact wording provided by the chief physician himself, word for word, later on to completely dispel any lingering doubts. She took to social media and confirmed once again that the injury was indeed the shoulder, emphatically not the elbow, adding that the team had meticulously triple-checked all the details to avoid any possible misunderstanding or misinformation spreading. So, when you put all these pieces together, all these compelling storylines blended seamlessly to create an absolutely eventful and unforgettable fallout from UFC 303, extending far beyond the actual fights themselves. Islam Makhachev, displaying nothing short of pure class, reacted with incredible sportsmanship to the surprising outcome of the bantamweight title fight, genuinely offering both heartfelt encouragement to Merab Dvalishvili and respectful recognition to Petr Yan. Meanwhile, Dana White spent a significant portion of his time answering a barrage of questions about the meticulously planned, yet often criticized fight card. He also took the opportunity to skillfully clear up misunderstandings that had arisen with heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall and bravely defended decisions that had clearly caused significant backlash among the passionate fan base. Simultaneously, incredibly important updates surfaced about various fighters dealing with the immense physical toll of the event, highlighting both the inherent danger and the incredible dedication required in the sport of MMA. By the end of the night, the entire MMA community had a truly colossal amount to talk about, from unexpected, crushing losses and incredibly long-awaited, triumphant comebacks to curious injuries, intriguing controversies, and the never-ending debate over the often contentious art of matchmaking. The raw energy and ripple effects from UFC 303 carried far beyond the confines of the cage, serving as a powerful reminder to everyone why this sport continues to captivate, thrill, and utterly engross fans around the entire world.